representing our city. Its name is Hillwood. I don't know why. Ask Ishan if you want to. So before we move any further, so like there was a whole 1.5 hour presentation for this thing. We'll put the link in the chat later. So we've recorded it. You can see it later. Now I'll just show the city simulation video. It's not actually the city simulation video. I just took a lot of images in the video, compiled it into here to like save time. We can't show the actual simulation.
I can't hear the audio. Can anybody else? There is a setting in Zoom to share the computer audio.
Yes, sir. Actually, there is no audio in the video.
Okay. Would you like to explain what's happening?
Yes, sir. Advait would explain the whole video. Just a minute, sir. Advait, explain the video image by image. His mic is not working, I guess. There's a lot of disturbance from the mic.
Yes. Would anybody else like to explain the video?
Yes, sir. Could you please rewind the video to the 0 second? I'll explain the video. Advait?
On the website, we have a
Advait, your audio was not audible. You were not audible. Could you please show the video again?
there wasn't actual audio in the video itself.
No, your voice was not audible. Again, the disturbance is coming. Hello? Hello? There is a disturbance. We cannot hear you. You're not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible now. Start from the top from the video because you were not audible in the video too.
I wasn't speaking much. It was all just background music.
Okay. Yes.
Right. So the city government design. People in the top, people on the bottom. That's hierarchy. Apart from that, we've divided the work into departments. They'll be looking into the functioning of their own independent departments. This person is appointed. All the other guys are elected. They have appointed heads as well, but the elected heads have the main say. But this one is not elected to keep elections fair. The head council is kind of like body of all the main guys. This is appointed board members and elected members. The whole detailed government system is on the website. The departments, and they look into making policies, and they have kind of like an overlap with the sustainability department. So we can make policies every year. The whole details of the city government design are on the website. We're not going into details to save time. The land use management. So the green areas on the lastmost layer, these will be for farming, which will have vertical farms, discussed later. The blue areas will be industrial areas, which will be like specially placed. The energy zone, like the orange zones, are the zones which are on kind of an elevation, kind of hills, and they have good windmill production. So just to keep the noise and stuff away, we have a green zone, and we like greenery, so why not? Yellow areas are the residential zones, and the purple areas are kind of like the commercial zones, and they have the biggest hospitals, the colleges and stuff. If you have any more questions about this, you can ask later. So the strategic location of the energy zone. You also have solar panels discussed later, but I just wanted to show the noise pollution chart. So the residential areas will be designed in a nice way. So buildings in north and south, so that east and west you get good sunlight, and the parks in the middle can stay healthy, and you'll have about 96 of them. Details are in the video. Go ahead and watch.
Okay, hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Gunjan.
Okay, so I took initiative for two topics like resource efficiency and clean food. So, coming to resource efficiency, in the video, I talked about necessities for resource efficiency in a green city. Like, resource efficiency means doing more with less. So, we need to establish this in our city because of depleting resources and for a circular economy. Then, if we talk about the ways in which this can be done, so it includes recycling and the basic 5 hours principle for reducing waste and be beneficial for environment. These topics are discussed in detail in the YouTube video. Then dams for water storage, irrigation, and also electricity generation. Now solar panels that will utilize energy from sun, like on rooftops or solar farms. Ishan, please show them the slides.
Yes, now here's
Please begin from the solar panels one.
actually Advait is screen sharing. He would show you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, solar panels.
Huh. So now solar panels that will utilize energy from sun, like on rooftops or solar farms. 16 solar panels would run a house. Then windmills using wind energy, wind farms to be established. Please show them the simulation pictures of wind farms.
Uh, they're here, the one on the top, and this here, we had these as well. These are the solar farms. These are the ones with the rooftop, like solar panels and rooftop. Take over.
Yeah, please show them the wind farms.
The wind farm.
Yeah, so this is the picture from the simulation, city simulation. As these are renewable sources of energy and environment friendly, further storage technologies would support in case of no sunlight at nights or in case of no wind. And this is all. So detailed information is presented in the video. Yeah.
Okay, so green transportation. I'll just go over this very quick. You're gonna have free bus rides, and they'll be connecting you everywhere. So, for example, you want to go to the office zone. Like, there's no particular office zones. There will just be a building or two in commercial zones because most of the people will be working from home. But just so you have presence. Apart from that, the underground trains, these will be mainly for supplying goods to the factories and raw material and stuff. Then online taxi service and electric cars, food, take over whosoever is doing food.
Okay, so food. Okay, so some of the practices need to be established concerned with the food for the health of citizens who are the source of all power. These include various practices in relation to clean milk production. Please proceed. Yeah, for example, contaminated milk can lead to various problems. So, practices related to the milker, animals, milking utensils, their health and hygiene are important. Pesticides have greater risks, so involving vertical farming, opting for organic crops is a good option. And detail of all practices are mentioned in the video. So, yeah, that's it.
So I'm going to talk about industries. Industries play another important role in a city. An industry is a sector that produces goods or related services. Can you please proceed to the third slide? These are some ways industries can advance in sustainable development goals. The elementary units of industry are workforce, processes, equipment, and safety. These are further explained in the video on YouTube.
Anand, bro, please take over for sewage and treatment.
Yeah, can you switch to the diagrams?
Yes.
So we all know the importance of sewage treatment and that every community or city should have a tangible way of disposing of sewage so that the people, animals or flies cannot touch it. In common words, this is called as sewage system. So our group has proposed three ways in which sewage can be disposed. The first is on-site disposal system. In this, all the liquid waste from the toilet, bathroom, laundry, and sink goes into pipes which carry it to a septic tank, which in turn separates the liquid matter from the solid matter naturally. The effluent from the tank is then disposed of through effluent disposal drains, often referred to as leach or French drains. But the drawback of this type of system is that it cannot operate in areas that flood regularly or in areas which have high water table. Second way is effluent disposal system. In this method, the effluent from the community is carried by large pipes to the lagoon. These pipes serve all the houses and other buildings in the community. The sewage may be either be treated in septic tanks at the houses or buildings or at the lagoon. The third way which we propose is the full sewage system. All the sewage from the toilet, shower, laundry, and other areas enters the waste and sewer pipe directly and is pumped to a lagoon. There are three types of full sewage system. The sewage enters the lagoon without treatment. The sewage goes through a series of cutting blades which help break up the solid matter before it enters the lagoon. These blades are called macerators. And third, the sewage may be treated in a large septic tank just before it enters the lagoon. For more detailed version of my explanation, you can visit the website or the video.
Okay, so wait a second. Yeah. Education.
I'll be talking about education. Proper and good education is very important for all of us. Good quality education is an essential tool for achieving a more sustainable world. I'll be talking about four topics briefly, which are understanding ESD, education for sustainable development, improving quality of education, information and technology, and eco schools. You can see the two photos from our city simulation. I'll be talking about our first topic, understanding ESD. It is a broad and evolving concept that can be broadly interpreted as holistic and transformational education that addresses learning content and outcomes and the learning environment to achieve societal transformation. The aim of ESD is to enable people to make decisions and carry out actions to improve our quality of life without compromising the planet. It also aims to integrate the values inherent in sustainable development into all aspects and levels of learning. I'll be talking about the second topic very briefly, which is improving quality of education. Quality education is about how and what and how people learn, its relevance to today's world and global challenges, and its influence in people's choices. It is necessary for the principals, heads, educators, and other members to pay adequate attention towards bringing about improvements in the quality of the and efficiency of education. The steps for efforts to improve quality education sector need to be made by improving the curriculum, by making change in the textbooks whenever necessary. Changes are to be made based on the ideology of the country, focus on ethics, norms, values, and culture. Free education must be provided for classes 1 to 10th. Schemes like solar systems, laptop distribution, etc. have been introduced in higher studies to improve the competition as well as the quality of education. I'll be talking about eco schools now. Eco schools are green campuses that are important and effective in mainstreaming sustainability in all aspects of the learning environment, which include embedding sustainabilities and its issues into the curriculum. The eco-school strategy focuses on environmental action, learning, and embeds transformative thinking into everyday school life and communities. Now, the aim of the eco-school program is to engage students through classroom study, school, and community action to raise awareness of sustainable development issues. It encourages students and teachers to conduct research, the amount of waste energy or water used at their school, and work towards providing an integrated system. Now, I like Ishan to talk about his topic.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. So basically, I would be talking about health and sustainability. First question arises that why health is important in making a sustainable environment. Health is important to making a sustainable environment because health helps a person to maximize his or her output in making a sustainable environment. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is a flow chart, and I will be explaining through this flow chart what I have incorporated in the Gruen City. First topic is service delivery. So basically, service delivery refers to any in delivering various facilities, and the first sector is the primary healthcare sector. Primary healthcare sector would basically include hospitals in the neighborhoods. Secondary healthcare sector would include the hospitals in various divisions of the city, and tertiary healthcare sector would include 2 to 3 hospitals in the entire city located in the heart of the city. The next is the tertiary healthcare system. The next is the health workforce. The health workforce should be available, responsive, and competent. Then information. Information basically refers to information regarding X-ray testing, lab testing, blood testing, etc. And the information, and it will include skilled management and latest technology. Immunization basically refers to vaccines, medical products, and protective care. We have clearly seen its importance in COVID-19 pandemic, and that is why immunization is very important, and a separate division would be made in the government for researching of various immunization programs. Can you switch to the previous slide? Yes.
Okay.
The next is financing. Financing basically refers to yes. Financing basically refers to encouragement of investments in basically the health level, and leadership and governance. Basically, leadership and governance basically means that the hospital should be accountable, transparent, and there should be trust among various patients. So over to the next presenter.
Pollution-free environment. Nidhi, you here, right?
Pollution is a negative externality, the cost to society. To reduce pollution, the government can use 5 main policies: the tax to raise prices, subsidize alternatives, regulations to ban certain pollutants and pollution permits, and afforestation. Tax. The idea of a tax is to make consumers and producers pay the full social cost of producing pollution. For example, carbon tax subsidizes. A tax may be ineffective if there are no practical alternatives. However, if the government subsidizes alternatives, then firms and consumers will be more willing to switch. Regulations. Regulation sets strict limits on the number of pollutants put into the air. They create clearly defined goals in which may or may not work. Pollution permits. Pollution permits are market-based scheme aimed at reducing pollution and trying to encourage firms to reduce the quantity of pollution they create. And last, afforestation. Afforestation is the process of sowing seeds or planting trees in an area that does not have trees to create a forest. It has been the most talked about methods of dealing with global warming. The topics have been discussed in details in the website. Thank you.
The next topic is sustainable architecture. So basically, can you switch to next slide? Next slide. Yes, this one. So basically, if we talk about eco workplace. Okay, let's talk about eco houses. So eco houses, basically, I've installed various things in a sustainable house. I've incorporated natural lighting, furniture made of renewable materials, vegetation around the house. I've also incorporated large glass shields, and also I've incorporated vegetation around the vegetation around the house. And can you switch to the eco workplace? Okay. Yes. So basically, I've installed photovoltaic panels, solar panels, windows for sufficient sunlight, and water harvesting plants. Next page, please. Next page. So basically, I wanted to say in eco houses, I've installed natural lighting, furniture made of renewable materials, vegetation, etc. So that's the end of the presentation. I hope you like it. Now we can answer your questions, any queries.
Anybody have questions for?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay.
Yes.
So you were talking about solar energy. Do you know its drawbacks?
Yes, we know solar energy
Actually,
drawback.
you were talking
Yes, sir.
about 16 residential houses will have solar panel. Don't you know that it causes a visual pollution? Like, you know that the transportation and setting up its cost is too expensive. Also, they are producing pollution and they produce such a hazardous toxic gases, don't you know? And you are putting it in a large amount, not such that 1 or 2. You are just putting 60 to 70. And also, you are setting up wind farms, as you told in your slide. They have such a high expensive maintenance and their cost is too expensive. Also, they have some speed rate to produce such energy. It
Yes,
is
ma'am.
150 kilometer per hour. And
Yes,
you
ma'am.
don't know when
Okay,
the
wait,
winds are
wait,
going
wait.
to be such fast.
Wait a second. Wait a
Okay.
second. Please get your numbers right. You added a whole zero there. Right, it's 15, not 150. Apart from that, cost. You talked about cost. Do you
Yes.
think cost is something that we should consider like up to a great extent while
One more
seeing
thing.
the environment?
One more thing
Like
that I would like
environment
to
versus
Yes,
add.
money.
it is necessary that you cannot waste your all of the money to the source of energy always. It can goes to the development side too, if you
So
know
what
this thing.
alternative do you want?
Okay.
Instead of
So
for the
just a
thing you
minute.
were saying.
Just a minute. There's a lot of noise from Advit's
Okay.
end.
Let's have the
Yes.
questions come through chat. I think that would make more sense as far as time goes. Let's have people ask questions in chat, and then the
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
presenters
Yes.
can answer them with audio.
Yeah. So basically, I want to tell that solar panels are expensive to install, but it's a one-time investment. See, if I install solar panels, if I install solar panels one time, it reduces my overall electricity bill. So basically, the amount that I'm saving money, right? If I'm installing the solar panels, it's a one-time investment, and then I'm saving the money on my future electricity bills. Then it's cost efficient, right? Okay, so next question. Solar panels,
Urja,
they
we do have
produce.
storage. We do have storage. We do have electricity stored. Gunjan can elaborate upon that.
Yeah, I would
It's
like
in
to
the video
add
as
that
well.
I would like to add that 16 solar panels would run a house. I have not talked about like 16 residential areas. I've talked like 16 solar panels would run one house. We were talking about rooftop solar panels.
We mainly have them in farm forms. You saw the images.
And obviously the initial investment would cost us more, but then it would be beneficial.
One more thing, actually, there were messages saying that solar panels would produce hazardous toxic gases. It does not produce hazardous toxic gases. It contains lead, cadmium, and other toxic chemicals, and that can be removed without breaking the entire panel. Okay, so I think I've answered this question.
I think Urja was asking about a backup for the power.
Okay, so you kind of like have storage battery kind of thing. You have huge things. So we did show the images, I guess.
Yeah, it is mentioned in the slides as well.
Okay, so next question. Just a minute.
Okay, I think we're just about out of time. Good job. Obviously, all of us have some technical issues. I think one of the most interesting one was when you were presenting your slideshow and then someone forgot that they were sharing their screen and went to the WhatsApp chat. I thought that was amusing, right? We all have to just sort of
Yes.
laugh when things go wrong.
Yes, it was funny. It was funny.
But I would
And
think,
a little fun in Zoom meetings is required.
yes, I think one of the things we can all take away from this is that we need to practice more when we do our presentations, especially a
Yes, sir.
distance presentation with people coming in from different areas. We need to practice until it runs smoothly. So I think in cycle 3, I will request that groups practice their presentations before the actual final presentation, just to
We
avoid
did,
those.
we did 2 run-throughs, but we kind of like made boo-boos here and there.
Well, you know, when it comes to final one, the pressure, right? You feel like everybody's here watching, and people get nervous. So that's to be expected. But as long as everybody takes it with a sense of humor, it's okay.
Sir, do you have any questions regarding our presentation? Anything you want to we can clarify?
I see that Anant has posted the link to your website, so I think that's good to show. So anytime a group presents their website, they should put the link into the chat so that people could take.
And there is also 1 or 30 minutes presentation, the detailed analysis.
I'll post a link in the chat right now.
Yeah, 1 hour 30 minutes presentation is also there, and there is also website in which we have mentioned the group vision and the whole experience of Gruen.
Advent.
And yeah, that's all.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Yes, I see the link there to the Google file as well.
Yep, that's the whole video.
That's the presentation that contains. Yeah, that's the full video, the full PPT, and the full everything.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the links in the presentation. Let's wrap it up and head back to Adobe Connect for group 37.
The screen.
All right. I'll take it away, group 23.
Okay, so as you can all see, is the screen visible to everyone?
We can see the presentation, but it's not full screen. It looks like it's ready to go.
Okay, so shall I start, sir, with your permission?
Yes, please do.
So our city has been named as Swarg. Swarg means heaven in Hindi. Heaven is a place where every person wants to go and every person would like to go because of all because it is basically a city of dreams for everyone. And so we've named our city as the city of dreams, Swarg. Our group describes our city as heaven for human beings to live in. It is a place where man can breathe fresh air, feel the warmth of the sun, feel the touch of pure land, listen to the chirping of birds with a calm mind, develop it without the fear of degrading his own environment. Sustainable development. So, as you can, I'll give the credits at last. I'll start with the meeting first. I'll start with the presentation. So we thought, while naming our city, we thought, why do human beings do everything and anything possible just to go to heaven when we can take them to heaven, a city of their dreams? We've received a question. Does your group have only 3 people? Yes, our group has only 3 working people. Rest of the group members couldn't help us out. So I shall continue. This is our city layout. As you can see, it is a circular city design. In between, we have a roundabout, and around it, our whole city revolves. Can I please have the next slide? Jeevaldi, can I please have the next slide? The slide, the slide, the previous slide. Yes, this one, the second one. Okay. So we have, we want our city to have all the 4 factors that are required for a perfect city, I would say. Not many cities are perfect, and not any city can be perfect, but we've tried our best to provide everything we can for our city, be it on the factors of ecological development, be it economical development, be it sustainable development. We've provided transportation facilities, public services, medical facilities, water net system, super trees, an eco industry, and other industries, so that our citizens can actually concentrate on their creativity and their talent. If someone wants to become a craftsman or a painter, they can happily become whatever they want to. We do not have any constraints. And we have public parks and residential areas, as you can see in our layout. We have cooling towers and daily facilities and markets too. Can I please have the next slide? Can I please have slide 3? Okay, looks like the slide has been changed, but I am not able to view it. So cooling towers will be explained by my fellow group members later on. So I believe we're on slide 3. Okay. Renewable energy generation. So renewable energy is energy that is collected from renewable resources, which are naturally replenished on a human time scale, such as sunlight, wind, rain, tides, waves, and geothermal heat. So why are we basically concentrating on renewable energy generation, and why are we not concentrating on power plants and normal electricity development? Because rain, wind, tides, and sunlight are, we believe that they are resources that are in unlimited amount. Yes, we are overusing them, but as per the as we can see, as we're increasing the amount of use of uh, environment based energy, we've reduced the amount of radiation and the amount of harm and the amount of extra. Sorry, my mic stopped working in between. I'm having network issues in between. So renewable energy often provides energy in four important areas: electricity generation, air and water heating, cooling, transportation, and rural off-grid energy services. So for this process, we've made use of solar panels, and we've made use of water cooling towers. We've made use of windmills and many more. We've added many more features to our city. And also a special feature I would like to mention is that we've made gym equipment in our parks, so that while people are taking care of their health, they're also generating energy out of it. And urban renewal refers to special local development actions and programs aimed at rehabilitating certain urban areas to improve the living environment. And in layman language, it is basically a program of land redevelopment often used to address urban decay in cities. And the benefits that can be seen in this circular economy are a reduction of pressure on natural resources, boosting economic growth, continual use of resources, and minimum waste generation. Now I would like to talk about how we are conserving and recovering nutrients. So we've concentrated on micro farming since all three members of group 23 are from India, and India is a country where more than 63% population is living on agriculture. And so keeping that in mind, we've introduced micro farming practices in our city. Before that, I would like to know if any one of you has any questions till now. Sure, you can ask them at the end. I believe no one has any questions and everyone is ready to ask them at the end. And now I'll continue with the presentation. So micro farming is also known as urban farming, and this is done on residential commercial property less than 5 acres of land. So I'll start with why micro farming. The size of micro farms not only naturally lends itself to urban and suburban areas with limited land, but because most micro farms are managed by hand, they do not require large tools. When you think of a farm or a ranch, you may picture acres and acres of land with a picturesque red barn, dozens of animals, and a farmer in overalls tending to it all. And while there are many farms across the country just like this, not all of them require a lot of space, heavy equipment, or a location far out in the county. Micro farms are common in agricultural and farming industries and allow farmers to tend to animals and grow crops on a smaller scale, and usually right in the middle of busy, bustling city centers. A micro farm, as I said before, is an agriculture infrastructure that typically works on 5 acres of land or less. They thrive in urban areas and their focus is on sustainability and a commitment to being eco-friendly. What sometimes starts as a garden can grow into a micro farm focusing on specialty crops that don't need to be produced in large quantities, such as tomatoes and lettuce. Common crops for microfarms include garlic, herbs, and microgreens, and it's common for microfarms to connect with a small specialized niche in which to market their goods. Also, in our city, crop canopy sensors are used to measure the real-time nitrogen status of crops. So, due to overuse of chemicals and other nutrient providers, the amount of nitrogen increases. And so with this information is then with this we will have uh, with crop canopy sensors, information will be provided to the authorities of the city, which can be then used to produce nitrogen application rate recommendations that can ultimately lead to greater crop productivity, decrease fertilizer use, and improve water quality as a result of reduced fertilizer runoff. We also, I would like to mention, we had speakers in our presentation so that automatically you all can hear our presentation information. But now, since we have the chance to present it, we'll do it in the meeting only. So please ignore the speaker signs on the top right corners. Can I have the next slide? Now G will introduce you to the next slide.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jewel. I'll be talking about polyhouse and clean technology. So polyhouses are essentially dome-shaped structures to keep streets cool and manage temperatures. These would be used in our city. Such polyhouses can also be used to produce food, which would ultimately add to the oxygen content and also improve the food security. Such polyhouses keep the humidity in the atmosphere in check and will thus lead to a better production of vegetables and fruits without much of crop waste and crop damage. This will yield about 8 to 10% of more crops than usual farming. So this was all about polyhouses. These will be used in our city essentially to keep the temperatures in check and to keep the global warming at par. So clean technology in our city, we would essentially be using solar roofs. First of all, we'll be using solar roofs, which would be used to provide electricity in residential complexes, as it cannot be used for providing electricity in other places because it's not that much reliable, but it will be used to provide electricity in residential spaces. Every residential location would also have a waste segregation at the base level, which means that the household waste would first be separated by the residents only, and then it would be collected. When we segregate waste, there is reduction of waste that gets the land filled and occupies space, air, and water pollution rates will be considerably lowered. So segregating waste also makes it easier to apply different processes such as composting, recycling, and these would ultimately reduce the pollution as well as add to the public health. So now I'll be discussing about the glass buildings. In our city, mostly the buildings would be especially the office complexes where a large number of people work daily for about 6 to 8 hours. Glass buildings would be used. The buildings tend to get overheated and the AC or air conditioners often add to the environmental damage. Hence, our cities would be using glass to make the buildings, at least the surfaces. This is because glass is a sustainable material. First of all, it is recyclable and hence environmental damage would be less. This also contributes to mitigate climate change and save precious natural resources. The glass will reflect back the sunlight, and thus the buildings would be cool and not as much heated, and thus safeguard the health and well-being of the occupants. Waternet systems. Waternet systems are essentially used are like network of pipes to monitor the flow of entire water cycle. These would be fitted in buildings, high-rise or skyscrapers, and they would have certain pipes that would be covered by plants so that like it looks nice. But these have essential benefits. There will be cloud-based solutions to connect water pipes to internet, and hence enabling a proactive approach to flood control and rainwater collection. This would not only add to the water levels of the city, but also help in the identification of weak points or blockages. Our city would also be using an algae-based water treatment plant. These are small decentralized systems that are ideal for low flow facilities. So our city would follow like an industrial and commercial water waste treatment. Water that is wasted is conveyed to a basin. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so water that is wasted in the industrial processes or households, or mainly the commercial waste, would be collected in a basin that is submerged with wheels or paddles, which is rotated via a blower. Biofilm, which is kind of an algae film or a bacteria film, will be attached to these wheels to supply oxygen and hence remove the nutrients from this wastewater. This water would then be used back in the industries. So we will also be using biogas plants. Like in our city, we also follow eco-industrialization. So the organic wastes that would be produced in the industries, and also that would come from local food processors or food producers and all kinds of places, will be put to better utilization. This could be done by anaerobic digesters. So this would not only double the biogas plant, but also help in the you can say better utilization of organic waste, which would otherwise not be used mainly in other cities, which is not used today as well. Our city will also have a system of super trees along with water nets. So these trees are right now being used in Singapore, but in our city, these would not be like those in Singapore, because our city would not have the essential conditions that Singapore right now has. So these would be fitted with solar systems that would convert the electricity, sunlight into energy and provide lighting, and aid also in the algae-based water treatment plants. But since we don't have that, we might not have that much kind of resources or this natural resources, these would also help in rainwater collection, which is right now not happening in Singapore. We'll also have vertical gardens. These are connected to water nets, which I explained earlier. However, these I'm so sorry, I don't know what is happening. Yeah, so these vertical gardens help to reduce the carbon footprint of a building. Since industries are essential and commercial spaces are essential for any city to prosper economically, carbon footprint generated by commercial spaces and industries would evidently be there in our city as well. So vertical gardens will be used to reduce the carbon footprint from the buildings by filtering pollutants and carbon dioxide out of the air. This will also benefit the people living in the city, as it would improve the public health. I have explained the solar panel roofs, but these would also be used in not only in residential, but sometimes in some spaces like small industries, these would also be used there. One of the features that our city would have would be the heliodome. This is a bioclimatic solar house which, with its odd angles, ties in with the sun's movements, providing optimal inside temperatures during every season. This would essentially be kind of a greenhouse, but this would provide more. This would prove to be more efficient than the greenhouse since it changes its angle according to the sun's movements. Cooling towers. Cooling towers are the surest way, I feel, to solve the thermal pollution problems, because cooling towers results can be predicted with high degree of accuracy even before installing the towers. These provide a short way to solve the thermal problem, which I'm sure every city has because of the industries. Transportation. Our city would be using electrical vehicles, and these would also be accompanied by electrical recharge stations.
You guys are
Fully
at 20
electric
minutes.
cars.
You guys need to wrap it up. Okay, you're at 20 minutes now. So finish it up,
Yeah.
please.
Sure, sir. We'll just wrap it up now. So, transportation, next we'll have, I'll discuss the transportation system. We'll have electric recharge stations, and EVs will reduce the emissions that contribute to climate change and smog, improving public health and reducing the ecological damage. And electric vehicles. So EVs, the transportation in R will focus on decarbonization. The city will promote smart bikes and electric mass transit systems, and electric motors are simply more efficient than combustion engines, and they waste less energy, and they are simply no tailpipe emissions of air pollutants such as nitrogen oxides and particles. Eco-industrialization. So eco-industrial development is a framework for industry to develop while reducing its impact on environment, and and it uses a closed loop production cycle to tackle a broad set of environmental challenges. And you can already see the design originated in engineering disciplines, as well as from the product life cycle
Hey,
analysis.
Purvi, I
And
hate to cut you off, but you can't keep reading the slide. You just have to conclude each slide and wrap it up, okay?
sure, sir. So the fitness system, I already explained it before. We'll have the public, the citizens use gym equipments. As you can see in the pictures, they'll be located in the parks. And with these mechanical equipments, our citizens will be able to generate electricity and saving the energy. Thank you, and we hope you like it. Thank you so much. Any
Okay.
questions anyone has?
Good job, Group 23. You ran a little bit long. We're going to try to limit it to 15 minutes at the max. So,
Sorry, sir. Actually, we did not know that the third member won't be able to connect. So
yes, but you're using
time
the technique.
management
Yes, you're using
issues,
the
we did
technique.
have some.
You're using the technique of reading all the slides. So that means you should be able to practice reading all the slides and get an idea of exactly how long it'll take. I saw that you had some kind of model of a city, a little like, computer generated city. I saw the name Kevin Smurg. How was that created? What city was that? What type of simulation?
So we used a platform to create that small layout. We did create one that was our own layout, but to make it more, in a better way. So we use different platforms such as we use City Sim building apps and other apps. We also use city designing tool, and there was this another app that I am not able to. Megapolis. Yes, we also used Megapolis, and we tried to develop a city on that app which we had in our mind. And so yes, sir.
Okay, Very good. Does anybody have any questions for group 23? Otherwise, we need to wrap up and move on because we're going to run very late today if everybody goes 20, 25 minutes. Okay, no questions? All right, well, thank you, group 23. I'll stop
Thank
the
you, sir.
recording.
Thank you so much.
And we'll
Thank
move
you.
back. You're welcome. We'll move back to the Adobe Connect. You guys can start anytime. Go group 24. Bhavya, do you want to check your microphone? Make sure it's working because I haven't heard anybody but Urja so far. And that was just a guess.
Hello.
Sounded
Yeah,
like Urja.
sorry.
Ah, very
Can you hear
good. Yes, I can hear you, Bhavya.
Great. Thank you.
Anybody else need
So
to
we are
check their
starting with a
microphone?
video presentation.
Say again.
We are starting with a video presentation of a city. Then we will have a live presentation of a
Sounds
detailed
good.
presentation.
I look forward to your presentation, but you might want to check everybody's mic before you get in the middle of your presentation.
Good evening.
Sounds good. Ananya,
Good evening, sir.
Renaya,
Hello.
and Tvisha. Am I saying it correctly? Tvisha?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like you guys are in good shape with audio. How about sharing your screen? Who wants to go first? All right. And, oh, here it is. All right. Good luck, group 24. You've got 15 minutes.
Hello and welcome to Ecotopia. Ecotopia means an ecologically ideal region or form of society, generally viewed as imaginary. As you all know, Smart City Solution provides inspiration for the cities of tomorrow. Our city has crop circles, nanotech factories, police station and fire station, fusion power plant, water pumping station, recycling center, bus terminal, Dulex and Omega treatment plant, sculpture garden, solar power plant, Archaea and pine forest, university and hospital. Each of our buildings have green roof and solar panels. Our city also has a well-developed government organization and green parking lots and lastly green streets. The citizens of our city have an active participation in involvement in each of the decisions and activities. We see this city as a sustainable low carbon circular economy which is resource efficient and safeguards its citizens from all environment related pressures. We believe that green cities such as Ecotopia are not cities where one has to cut down on desires and needs, but are cities where every desire and need is fulfilled in a green and clean manner. The core infrastructure elements in our smart city Ecotopia includes adequate water supply, assured electricity supply, sanitation including solid waste management, efficient urban mobility and public transport, affordable housing, especially for the poor, good governance, especially e-governance and citizen participation, sustainable environment, safety and security of citizens, particularly women, children, and the elderly, health and education, circular economy, and transportation. So let us now see a more detailed explanation about Ecotopia through a PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.
All right. Very warm greetings to everyone here from Group 24. Brace yourselves, for we are going to take you for a tour of land of promise, prosperity, and sustainability. Ecotopia. Inspired by the three nested dependencies model of sustainability, Ecotopia aims to showcase a solution to problems that we've been facing in the real life cities. Pressing problems such as air pollution, lack of proper healthcare system, unequal accessibility of resources, or management of waste and dependence on fossil fuels. Also, apart from just building an environmental friendly atmosphere, we have also ensured the satisfaction of our citizens by including an accountable government system, availability of green and recreational spaces, and a strong education and healthcare distribution system. We are thrilled to make you a part of our ecological utopia. The city is presented to you by Ananya Agarwal, Bhavya Patodi, Bulbul Parikh, Rinaya Grover, and Swisha Chadda. So let's have a look, and we hope that you'll enjoy it.
There are mainly three sustainability models. Ecotopia is based on the three nested dependencies model. This model is based on the fact that environment is of primary importance because a healthy ecosystem is required to nourish a robust society. Consequently, society and social responsibility are of secondary importance. Economy comes third because a prosperous economy cannot exist without a healthy and just society. There are three main pillars required to ensure stability. The first one being economic sustainability that aims to maintain the capital intact and make use of economic resources to their best advantage. The second one being social sustainability that aims to preserve social capital by investing and creating services with the approval of its citizens, stakeholders, and community it operates in. The third and the most important pillar is environment sustainability. As human society is wholly subsidiary of environment, as the natural resources are, we are nothing without the natural resources. This involves programs and initiatives that make use of resources wisely without compromising the needs of the future generation.
Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan is a planned concept by the local and central authorities of our city, Ecotopia. There is a shift towards more sustainable transport modes, which encourages healthy public transport. We have electric vehicles, 4 6-lane roads with mandatory 20% bicycle lanes, and we have advanced public transport, centralized metro system. The solid waste and sewage management is an important sustainable indicator which help in keeping check of spread of toxic and basic cleanliness of the city. In our city, we ensure an effective waste management system. We also have a recycling center. All recyclable items are brought into the city's collection station and they are then put into the large transfer trucks, which is then transported to loads to the nearest recycling centers. The solid waste. We have Zera Food Recycles. It converts food waste into homemade fertilizers within 24 hours. The sewage management. We have grey water recycling at individual household level. Wastewater typically makes up between 50 to 80% of a household waste and water. Sand filter method and mechanical filters are some other methods.
Green infrastructure and ecotopia, a multi-purpose solution for cities. Green infrastructure has a significant role in promoting sustainable development in a city, especially in the context of adverse climate change and environmental pollution impact. By relying on plants, soil, and natural systems to manage rainfall runoff, green infrastructure tackles urban water woes and boosts climate resilience. In Ecotopia, people have tried to develop technical measures to integrate biological implements into hard structures to soften them and to improve local landscape. It will improve the landscape, air quality, reduce noise, promote biodiversity, and boost economic development. Types of green infrastructure in Ecotopia are downspout disconnection, biosphere, rainwater harvesting, urban tree canopy, permeable pavement, green parking lots, green streets, honeycomb cooling system, green space, and lastly, green roofs.
Moving on to utilization of resources. One of the most obvious challenges that we face while building a city are that of using of renewable resources. These challenges not only create a pressure to find quick alternatives, but also fuel our other environmental problems, such as air and water pollution. It is important to base our energy providing systems on the idea of future needs, nested and instead of our previous assumptions about the ecological conditions. So, in Ecotopia, we are going completely free of conventional energy sources and are switching to hybrid renewable energy systems, rainwater harvesting systems, solar plants for energies, and water supply, which fuel our factories with nanotechnology and zero emission techniques.
Next, we have social pillars. True sustainability depends on the quality of life of the people. Therefore, it is equally important to take care of the socio-economic aspects of the city as much as the environmental ones. The following system of health education is an integral part of education.
Can you please mute your mic? Thank you.
Education is the most important thing for any country to develop and prosper. Education molds the character and intelligence of individual. Ecotopia follows the German model of education, where most of the schools are run by the government with high quality amenities and wide availability of curriculum. Higher education in Ecotopia will be globally reachable and also portable. This means a student registered for a course could get the service wherever he moves. The education system will be entirely state funded and free of cost for citizens. Nextly, we have safety and security. With the development of such smart cities, government needs to take the security of the city into consideration. This includes the general security of the city as well as cyber security. The government of Ecotopia recognizes the importance of security and a smart city plan for the city's future success. Security plan in Ecotopia is one integral part of smart city involves the effective use of smart communication and alert system. We also have video surveillance, which enhances safety through heightened intelligence, leading to a better overall safe economic climate through facial recognition, license plate detection, weapon detection, and environmental monitoring in smart buildings. Lastly, safety and security includes administrative and organizational features. Next, we have healthcare in Ecotopia. Ecotopia has a highly decentralized healthcare system. Our city has a 3-tier public healthcare system adopted from the Delhi healthcare system.
Firstly, we have neighborhood, clinics, and primary healthcare services accessible within the communities in Ecotopia at their doorstep. Secondly, the primary healthcare centers, we have polyclinics. Lastly, we have highly equipped government hospital with expectantly trained doctors and research teams.
Ecotopia has a parliamentary form of government with clear separation of powers and extensive decentralization. The government of Ecotopia will be democratic, transparent, and will be bound by the rule of law. The government will strive to work efficiently to ensure peace and stability. We have incorporated a number of sustainable practices in all spheres of life to make life in Ecotopia advantageous both to the citizens and other components of nature. Hope all of you liked our GRUN. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I think I'm muting people, certain people. You need, as a host, you need to watch the list of who's talking and making noise. Tanishq, if that was you breathing, that was quite an interruption there over that presentation. I enjoyed the layout of the city. I thought it was interesting how you went through, and that's the most advanced city I've seen, getting up to Fusion and the Omega buildings, which I thought was interesting. Who built that?
Me.
Is that Bhavya, the me?
Bhavya, yes, sir.
Ah, very good. Another one was I didn't see a list of which team members did which roles. Did you ever display that?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, well, I missed it. Could you run through it again, just verbally? Can you tell me who took which roles? You don't have to show me the slide, just tell me.
Researchers were Ananya Agarwal, Twisha Chadha, Bulbul Parekh, Vinayak Grover, and Bhavya Patode.
Ah, there you
Right.
go. Very
Yeah.
good. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know how I missed that. Maybe that was when Tanishq was making all the noise, I don't know. Anyways, as host, I would be careful to monitor the audio. All right, but otherwise very good and a reasonable length of time. Does anybody have any questions for group 24? I'm happy to see 21 participants as well. Yes, go ahead. Chirag says he has a question. Will the gray water treatment plant be installed in every house? Someone in group 24?
Yes, it will be installed because it's based on using the grey water, so it will be installed in every house.
Okay, well, very good. Let's wrap this up and head back to the Adobe Connect. Obviously, it would be expensive, Chirag. It's quite an investment to give everybody that ability to treat their gray water, but you know, it's up to each group to prioritize their reforms or their developments.
But at the same time, it would reduce the cost of water. People don't need to use fresh water for every use. Like they can use the grey water for many things, like gardening or flushing.
Yes, I
Basically,
agree.
yeah.
Gray water is a very valuable resource, and I hate to throw it away. So I think it's a good way to go, but obviously cost would be a factor. All right, I'll stop the recording, and we'll go back to Adobe Connect. All right, so go ahead, group 29.
Abhijit, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, we are starting then. Is my screen visible to all?
Yes, I see it.
Abhijit, go ahead.
Arnav, please use incognito.
Yeah, right, sorry.
Share the incognito window.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Abhyudit and I am here to introduce Prasinada, the city designed by the combined efforts of all the participants of Group 29. First of all, I would like to introduce my team. I'm Abhyudit and I've edited the video, worked on the website, researched, made slides, and narrated waste management and cleaner methods of operating industries.
Hey everyone, I'm Utkarsh Srivastav and I've researched on water system and energy generation sectors of the city. I've researched and made slides on the same, and I've compiled the beautiful background music that you'll be hearing in a moment, and I've also worked on the animation of the presentations.
Hello everyone, I'm Arnav Khandelwal. I helped Abhyudit in editing of the video, worked on the website, researched on education system of the city and the governance, and also made slides and narration of the same.
Hello everyone, this is Muskan Singh Roha. I narrated, researched and made slides on compensatory act of forest and reducing temperature of city.
Hello everyone, my name is Ishit Kumar and I posted the video on YouTube. I researched, made slides and edited the part of the transportation system of the city and the ways of maintenance of low pollution levels.
Good evening, my name is Navya Verma. I have researched, made slides and narrated on community behavior changes and maintenance of greenery in the city.
Now, we will be showing the working of our city through a video presentation. Kindly excuse us for it is a little longer than the specified time. It is also requested that you keep all your questions to yourselves till the end of the presentation instead of putting them in the chat box to avoid interruptions. We begin now.
Prasinada is the start of a new and better world. The motive of creating this city is to make a greener city that uses methods of sustainability in everyday life, while everyone lives their life to the fullest and enjoy all the luxuries. The goals of the city are to maintain its low air pollution level, reduce the temperature of the city, and practice reforestation and afforestation whenever necessary. The city has almost zero carbon emission due to the fact that everything here is used and built, keeping in mind that nature cannot be harmed in any way whatsoever. A city cannot be made green until the neighbors of the city are also green. Therefore, Prasinada helps other cities to attain zero carbon emission as well, so that everyone can enjoy nature's beauty while living in the most luxurious way possible. The young population is the most important asset for the future of any place. The priority in Prasinada is to make students independent, confident and rational human beings. Education at Prasinada is not just theoretical but also practical. It is inspired by Finland and partially from the United States. Teaching is done by using participative measures by giving students projects and involving them in various activities for better learning of the subject. Teaching is one of the most important professions of the world. Hence, it is one of the highest paid professions in Prasinada. Physical education is a compulsory part of the school curriculum for every grade so that children are fit and healthy and ready to serve when they graduate school instead of being obese and unhealthy.
Citizens of Prasinada are well aware that it's not only government's responsibility but also their own to make their city sustainable. Therefore, they have adopted a lifestyle which makes their city sustainable. Cycling is quite common in Prasinada. They use LED which consume 80 to 85% less electricity than conventional lighting sources and have much higher operating lifetimes. They practice rainwater harvesting. They use their kitchen and garden waste to create compost. Prasinada citizens work digitally rather than using papers.
Prasinada holds elections every 3 years to elect one main mayor and other ministers for other important tasks in the city. The government in the city is democratic and anyone above 18 years of age can vote, provided he/she has no criminal record. The people are the most important part of the city and thus there will be zero tolerance with anyone who misbehaves with any citizen of the city. Harming nature in any way is also a criminal offense and can result in immediate imprisonment. The judiciary of the city works independently and no one can influence the judgment of the judiciary, not even the mayor. The judiciary would be made of a judge and a jury made of 12 common civilians to ensure that the perfect verdict is given. The city has well-trained police officers and cyber cells for the security of its citizens.
Prasinada Greenery is maintained by following steps: environment-friendly concrete, projects for green city, seed balls, individual contribution. Environment-friendly concrete. Every 1000 kg of cement results in 900 kg of carbon dioxide. By substituting some of the cement in the concrete mix with the waste product fly ash, recycled glass and more will reduce carbon footprints about 25%. This is called environment-friendly concrete. Projects for green city. Prasinada government welcome and encourage new sustainable development projects. Seed ball. Seed balls provide an easy and sustainable way to cultivate plants in a way that provides a larger window of time when sowing can occur. Seed ball consists of a variety of different seed rolled within a ball of clay. Individual contribution. Prasinada citizens maintain greenery of their residential area and green area by manual mowing, hoeing and weeding around the seedling, ponding of shoots and lateral around the seedling, fertilizing with compost, maintenance of irrigation system and more.
Prasinada uses the 3-bin system where organic, recyclable and non-recyclable wastes are collected in different bins. All the waste collected from these, along with sewage, is processed in the 4 different divisions. These 4 are the agricultural waste sector, wastewater sector, non-recyclable waste sector, and the recyclable waste sector. The agricultural waste sector deals with the human, kitchen, agricultural and animal waste produced in the city. The waste is collected and then sent to the biomass management sector. Now, the wastewater sector deals with the desalination of water. Water is desalinated through the nuclear energy generated in the nuclear power plant. This water is potable and eliminates the problem of water shortage. The recyclable waste sector. The recyclable waste collected from bins is sent for recycling or reuse depending on the material. The non-recyclable waste sector. All plastics that cannot be recycled are subjected to cold plasma pyrolysis. The substances that produce only minute amounts of poisonous or harmful gases are incinerated and the rest is disposed in landfills, which are later converted into coks. Prasinada also helps its industries through guidelines and schemes like ocean fertilization and reducing the use of plastics. Prasinada has given all industries certain guidelines. These guidelines are: industries are to use hydrogen fluorocarbons instead of CFCs and hydrogen chlorofluorocarbons, and they're also encouraged to increase the productive use of natural resources and reduce emissions. Factories are also not allowed to release persistent organic pollutants. Apart from the guidelines, Prasinada helps industries in cleaner operation through various methods. These include chemical leasing, which is an initiative of United Nations Industrial Development Organization and providing modern energy services to all factories, and following the Kyoto Protocol, Montreal Protocol, and the Stockholm Convention.
Reducing temperature of the city. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are the elements that result in heating up the cities. Controlled use of carbon dioxide will, therefore, result in the management of temperature of the city and is important from the perspective of public health. Prasinada uses modern techniques as well as traditional methods. Traditional methods include the use of water sprinklers, canopy cover all over, and the modern techniques include two major inputs: green buildings and artificial trees. Artificial trees are the need of the hour. The artificial trees sucks up excess carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and then store it up, which is 1,000 times more efficient than a true leaf that performs photosynthesis. The leaf looks like a sheet of plastic, papery plastic, and is coated in a resin that contains sodium carbonate, which pulls out carbon dioxide out of the air and store it as a bicarbonate. We don't need to expose the leaves to the sunlight for photosynthesis like the real one does. This is not an alternative to trees, but a way to meet the modern requirements. The collected carbon dioxide is thus cooled and stored, and then used for other purposes, like in the food industry for use in carbonated drinks, enhancing oil recovery, organic chemistry. Even a clean fuel can be made by mixing hydrogen and carbon dioxide, and in manufacturing industries. The green buildings. The green buildings are known as sustainable or high-performance building. It is a practice of creating structure and using the process of environment-friendly and resource-efficient throughout a building's life cycle. This practice expands and complements the basic building designs concern of economy, utility, durability, and comfort. Prasinada emphasizes majorly on green buildings as they provide a healthy working environment. Green buildings are designed to reduce the overall impact of the building environment on human health and natural environment by efficiently using energy, water, air, and other resources, protecting occupant health and improving employee productivity, reducing waste, pollution, and environment degradation. Compensatory Act for Forestry. Compensatory Act of Forest will be implemented in the city of Prasinada. According to this act, every time a forest land is diverted for non-forest purpose such as mining or industry, the user agent will have to plant as much as the forest area covered in some other land, or will have to give a fixed sum of money to the government. Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority (CAMPA) are meant to promote afforestation and regeneration activities as a way of compensating to forest land diverted to non-forest uses. The government of Prasinada lays broad guidelines for CAMPA. The CAMPA Act is a legislation that seeks to provide an appropriate institutional mechanism to ensure utilization in an effective and transparent manner. The money paid by the developers who have raised the forest land will be utilized for afforestation, regeneration of forest ecosystem, wildlife protection, and infrastructure development.
So now we are going to talk about the transportation sector of Prasinada. Prasinada is well connected to the outer world as well as maintain its own secretarialism at the same time. Coming to the public transport, Prasinada has a very good public transport. People prefer using metros and buses instead of using their own means when they are going to their offices or other destinations. The government is also very responsible in providing the facilities here. The city is equipped with system maglev trains that are very swift and efficient when it comes to short distances as well as the long distance travel. Coming to the airways of Prasinada, Prasinada has two-part airports, a domestic airport and an international airport. Prasinada has a lot of trade going through the airways. Prasinada is one of the most important changing airports for many important airways. Coming to the vehicles part, Prasinada promotes the use of hydrogen vehicles, which ensures zero carbon emission. Adding to all this, to ensure that everyone gets instant ambulance services, the city has been laid with binary electric lines. On these lines runs the elevated ambulance. These gigantic 50 feet tall ambulances can be very crucial in a life-death situation.
Prasinada has energy generation sectors located on the outskirts of the city. It serves as a powerhouse of the city and caters of all the energy requirements of the city. It is divided into various sectors that tackle different energy-related problems of the city. The first sector is the hydromotive production sector. This is the area where most of the city's hydrogen-based energy is produced. This industrial area has a large power plant in which the chemical energy of hydrogen is converted into mechanical energy by burning hydrogen in an internal combustion engine. The input energy energy of hydrogen-based energy is produced by a large system of windmills and by cold plasma pyrolysis. The second sector is called the nuclear energy generation sector, which produces the energy required for various activities like research activities using nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Prasinada uses nuclear energy for two main purposes. The first is water desalination, that is, to produce fresh water from seawater by evaporating it. The second is for irradiation. Private farmers use radiation to prevent harmful insects. Irradiation also kills bacteria and other harmful organisms in food. This type of sterilization of food occurs without making the food radioactive or insignificantly affecting the nutritional value. The third sector is known as the maglev production sector, which deals with all the maglev and superconducting related matters of the city. Maglev trains are also made in this part of the industrial area. The fourth sector is the biomass management sector. This sector produces the majority of energy required for the city. The raw materials used include dead plants, human and animal excreta, and agriculture and household waste, which are burned in an internal combustion reactor. The carbon dioxide produced is sent into a large greenhouse, which is utilized by plants. Plastics have become an inevitable part of our lives. We cannot completely cut down on plastic production. Prasinada, being an urban environment, also cannot restrict the use of plastic. Thus, to tackle this problem, Prasinada has adopted a technique of cold plasma pyrolysis. This process breaks down plastic molecules and produces hydrocarbons such as methane, ethylene, etc., along with the evolution of hydrogen gas. Prasinada produces 0.375 million liters of hydrogen annually using this. A ready supply of water is a human right, but access to safe drinking water is becoming increasingly difficult to achieve in many parts of the world. The problem of climate change and population growth are leading to new pressures on water. Hence, it becomes absolutely necessary that we find solution to this problem and find a sustainable way of providing fresh water to all humanity. One method of providing access to safe drinking water can be to desalinize ocean water. As John F. Kennedy famously said, if we could produce fresh water from salt water efficiently, that would indeed be a great service to humanity and would dwarf any other scientific accomplishment. Prasinada uses an expedient way of water desalination, and that is desalination using nuclear energy. Basically, nuclear desalination uses excessive heat produced from a nuclear reaction to evaporate seawater, which is later condensed into fresh water, which is suitable for human consumption. Nuclear desalination is significantly the most efficient method of water desalination, as more water per unit volume is getting desalinized and loss of water is almost insignificant. This method is also completely eco-friendly and does not contribute to global warming at all, as the method of production of heat does not produce carbon dioxide. Other methods of water desalination, like through regular evaporation and desalination using hydro plants, causes a lot of water and take up a lot of energy. The foremost concept of sustainability is to conserve what we already possess for the future generations without relinquishing the needs of the present generation. Prasinada, being a sustainable urban environment, respects that concept and believes in conservation of natural resources like rainwater, which is conserved and utilized by the method of rainwater harvesting. This method is a remedy for replenishing of groundwater in an urban environment like Prasinada. This method is followed thoroughly in every building of the city.
Now let's talk about the low air pollution level of Prasinada. This is because, as an alternative to petrol and diesel, we are using the compressed natural gas, since it is not contributing anything to the pollution level of our city. More of the public transport, like the buses and other means of public transport, are being provided to the people. As people are using public transport instead of their personal vehicles, so fewer vehicles are there on the road, and the problems like traffic jams are being avoided. Also, the pollutants are removed from the exhaust streams of power plants and industrial plants before they enter the atmosphere. Particulates can be filtered out, and sulfur and nitric oxides can be broken down by the catalysts. Removing these oxides reduces the pollutants that cause acid rain. Prasinada has installed many industries for this, and we have seen the results that the pollution level is very low in our city.
So that was our city. Any questions?
Well, you mentioned compressed natural gas and said that it has no pollution. It won't contribute any pollution. How can you burn natural gas and not have any pollution whatsoever?
Like we talked about in a collective way. So in our original document, we have mentioned that the carbon dioxide produced from any of the processes, like burning of natural gas, is utilized by a large greenhouse.
Okay. Well, overall, I would like to congratulate you on the quality of your video. I think that was the best produced video I've seen so far.
The FPS was really low
Thank you, sir.
because of the share.
Thank you,
Thank you,
The
sir.
real, the
And
real
good
video
job.
has
So we will
animation.
be sharing the link too so that you can see it again if you
I
want,
already did
because
that.
during the share.
Yes,
Oh,
I actually
Really
collected the
appreciate
link.
it.
I did.
Yeah, I already did
I
that.
copied the link, and good job for including all the members of your team. I remember that originally it was just AUA. It looks like you
Yeah.
have integrated your input from MIN, just
Yeah.
very well done.
yeah.
So, good job. I was very happy to see that you integrated everybody's contributions. Any other questions from anybody? And any new nuclear waste disposal method? Anybody
I
have
don't
any
think I get
ideas?
the question.
Actually,
Just a
shall I
second.
use audio instead?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, in my presentation also, there were many questions about nuclear waste. So any method that you have worked about regarding nuclear waste disposal? So
I don't think so.
that is really highly radioactive. We were all stuck in that. So any method that you have researched about?
No, we didn't.
Well, that's a
That's
good point. We
unfortunate.
should think of it.
That's unfortunate.
Well, Urja, I'd be happy to discuss my method. If you have a maglev train that curves up the side of a mountain and it achieves escape velocity, I think you could launch waste into the sun. That's what I think should be something
Well,
that's explored.
I
Yeah,
think
that could
Well,
be
it
it's
is
fun.
not.
more likely to build a Dyson sphere.
Yes,
Go
that
ahead.
can be used. And
What? Utkarsh, did you just mention a Dyson sphere?
Yes. It's good to be imaginative, right?
one thing that feels
There's no limit to my imagination.
Dyson.
It's just creativeness.
Not- We're making a city, not a whole civilization.
But we would like to.
A really
like
advanced
to-
civilization. No, we're not doing that.
Well, I think
We
each
would like to
major
make
city
in future-
should have their own catapult into the sun and treat it like a giant
Uh,
garbage disposal.
But okay, that's nice. But okay,
That's nice.
yeah, we
Okay.
researched about one method that was in the net, of course. So that was like converting the highly radioactive waste to glass. So,
To glass.
but that is one problem also, that is known as vitrification. But that has also one problem, that but that would surely decrease the volume. But hence the glass would be radioactive at the last.
I think we need
why
to get
would the
rid of
glass
the anything radioactive. Even putting it very deep in the earth has some issues. I know in America they store them in unused mines, very deep, but it can still get into the
Yeah, it does
groundwater.
have.
We'll think of
Yeah, that's why I
Energy
didn't speak up.
dependent on nuclear energy.
Yes.
When she asked about disposing, I did think of burying it deep in the ground, but nah.
How about Anit's question about desalination?
Just a second, didn't see that.
I think desalination wouldn't impact the marine environment as
Yeah,
such, because there would be because if you see the amount of water present in the oceans is really large, and if we even take around, I don't think we would be taking even a 1/millionth of it. So
And
I
also,
don't think it would impact it so
and
much.
also in the process of desalination, we are collecting the water in a container, not like taking it directly from the
Yeah.
ocean.
Yeah, so it would
They're
be
using-
We are mindful of
quantitative
that
in
fact. We are mindful of that fact, but we are collecting it in a separate container, and then we'll send it to for desalination.
Yeah, we're not throwing it back in the oceans. Like, why would we even desalinate it in the first place if we have to
Yeah,
just throw it
yeah.
back in the
Yes.
oceans?
So I think the
Yes.
group before you suggested that the salt be sold. That you could
But
sell the
we
salt.
have to water the plants anyway, if you see. So sprinklers won't
Yeah,
be
exactly.
wasting the water.
And
For
if
that
we
purpose,
sell
I
the
think
salt,
sprinklers are the
then
best only.
You won't pray to Poseidon.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. We have one more presentation, so let's
Okay.
conclude.
Okay. Thank
Good
you,
job.
guys.
thank
Thank
you
you
everyone
for
for
being
being
such a
such a
Thanks.
Thank
wonderful
you,
audience.
everyone, for being here.
Bruh.
Good job, Group
thanks
29.
everyone for being such a wonderful audience. Really
Thank
Last
you.
bit.
So please subscribe.
please subscribe. Yeah, please subscribe.
All right, see you back in
Only
the
about 10,000 hours to monetize it.
monetized. All right, so
And
I'll
maybe my team members, if you'd like to check your audio once by introducing yourself, that would be nice.
Yes, hello everyone. So I'm Divyansh, and I'll let others also introduce themselves.
Hello guys, I'm Tanishq.
Hello
So I think
everyone, I'm Angad.
the energy engineer.
Good
yes.
evening,
So I
everyone.
think
Jahan here.
shall we begin now, since all of us have introduced ourselves.
Okay, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay, so we'll be starting. So hello and welcome everyone to Group 35's vision of their dream green urban city. And the name that we've chosen for our city is called Shrishti, which in Hindi means the universe. And the reason that we've chosen this particular city name is because we want our city to be as unique, as pure, and as intricate as the universe that we live in. And so here you can see the distribution of the work, or the contributions of each member. And firstly, the first aspect in developing our city was to analyze the problems that present cities of today's time have. So we've listed down several criteria and tried to build our own city on these problems. So firstly comes efficient energy productions, because a majority of the cities today are dependent upon non-renewable sources of energy and conventional energy sources, which are polluting and also are a major contributor in resource depletion. So we at Shrishti have tried to incorporate the maximum usage of renewable energy and non-conventional sources for minimum pollution and minimum resource depletion. Next up, we'll be having Nalin. Nalin, could you please move on to the next slide?
She may have lost her connection.
Yes, I'm guessing that as well.
Yeah, there were people in the waiting room. I was just admitting them. Then we can continue now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So after energy production comes transportation. So in today's cities, a majority of the transportation needs are met by private transportation means. So we at Shrishti have tried to reverse this system, and we encourage and promote the usage of public transportation systems. We do this through a variety of strategies, including but not limiting to concessions. And we've also tried to introduce new technologies within the public transportation domain. Apart from that, one special feature we have are green policies and compulsory green rules. Within this, we have a minimum threshold of 50% of the city's total area devoted to green spaces. And we've achieved that very well in our city, since 64% of our city is devoted to green areas only. Next comes waste management. So majority of the cities face the problem of not having an efficient waste segregation system and then the appropriate disposal technique. So we've tried to incorporate new technologies in this form of pneumatic dustbins which use pneumatic tubes for segregation of waste, and then we employ appropriate technologies for dealing with the different kinds of waste. And apart from that, we've tried to use new agricultural techniques, including quantum computing agricultural and hydroponics, which produce maximum yield in limited area. Next up, please.
And we also have an integrated city plan, which will be elaborated later, having well laid out facilities for each type of activity. And apart from that, we've tried to introduce new technologies in education as well, having different education levels such as primary, pre-primary, secondary, and all, and usage of new technologies and extensive network of schools and universities. And lastly, we have healthcare and security frameworks. Similar to education, we at Srishti pose the highest priority to the well-being of citizens and to the security of citizens. And apart from that, we also have an innovative wastewater management system and an efficient water management system that we'll be elaborating later.
So I am the city designer for Srishti. So let me begin by introducing some basics about the city. We took the total area of our city as 500 kilometers square. This was based on extensive research on sustainable cities currently. The Economist does its yearly report on the most sustainable cities. So we use that to base our entire calculations on the area of the city and our also the population density. Now, the most important part of this slide to note is that our total green area percentage comes to be 64%, which is much higher than any of the cities in existence. Now, next we have this entire city plan. This is for the entire city. Now, the major thing to note here is that the entire city plan on the right side of the screen is absolutely made to scale. And we have a key on the left side of the screen. Some major points to note here is that the Biosphere Reserve occupies the major area on the top right, which is noted with the green color. And the other important point is that the city planning is done in a very sustainable manner. This means that the industries, and which are the gigafactories, which will be talked about later, are located away from the city center. Similarly, the airport is also located slightly away from the city center. The agriculture is away from the city center. And all of these things come together to create a sustainable city. Now we have divided our city into districts. Now what these districts help us to do is that they help us to create a key of the major city layout. Since obviously we have smaller components in our city such as cinema halls and stadiums, we cannot actually portray them in our city layout. So we thought a lot about how to portray them in our major city layout. So we decided to create 10 9 districts which we can portray in the major city layout, which you can see here. The key for the districts is on the bottom left side of the screen. Now all of these districts, like the major city layout, is also very sustainably planned. So the parks, each district has a central park of 2 kilometer square area. That's how we achieve our total green area percentage. But the rest of the details too are very sustainably planned, since the colleges surround the parks, the schools surround the park, the stadium is near the park. The park is like the city center of a district itself. So all of these districts which you see here are also very, very sustainably planned. These you can browse on your own after we record. There is not much to talk about. And yeah, the textured area here is just a statue of sustainability which we made as a monument to remind everyone of the importance of sustainable development. And we have some research labs in our city as well, and this helps us promote a positive attitude towards scientific research as well. So the housing area division was done by Ahan. So this is also done based on extensive research on what is the average comfortable area each person requires to live a happy life. And we have done major competitions based on this before. So we are proud to say we have quite a lot of experience in calculating all of these areas. And Ahan made sure to create different types of housing areas, that bungalows, small apartments, big apartments, etc., to allow for each citizen to live a comfortable life. And these are the residential units. We divided our city into 4333 residential units, which are the municipalities, for the ease of calculating the area, but also the ease of governance in that area, and also for creating a sense of community. This helps. This is done in most major cities of the world. Now this is the area calculations for a single municipality, which helped us create our entire city layout to scale, which is a very enormous and tough task. And all of these are the other area calculations which we did. Again, all of these prove a single facet, which is that our city layout is made exactly to scale. and 100 districts. I talked about this earlier. Each district has major amenities available, and these major amenities are outlined here as the essential services. Again, all of this is based on extensive research on the average area required and the ideal area required in this case rather than the average area. And a 150-meter stream dissects the city. This helps us to create vertical and linear parks, which was done by previous groups as well. But we have outlined the parks and the streams in our city layout. So this helps us stay different from the other groups. And also we have a ferry service which connects different districts, and also tourism and city tours. And I feel that our parks much more add to our green area. I talked about the parks earlier, but the major facet to note here is that the buildings have terraces which are cut out as parks. So like a major problem with Central Park in New York is that it's surrounded by buildings. So that means that there is a lot of wind force there, and the parks do not have a very natural view. What we try to accomplish here is that by the parks and the terraces cut out on the buildings, the entire view is natural and the workplace is also connected to much of greenery. I talked about this earlier. The Central Park will be the central hub and the central heart, if you say, of the city. Now, the permeable pavements, also these were used by many other teams. So these are pretty simple. In current pavements, the runoff from the rain carries a lot of chemicals to the drainage area, and this carries it away to water bodies, which causes pollution. What permeable pavements basically do is that they allow the rainwater to percolate down to the groundwater, thus recharging the groundwater instead. Now the green policies, Ahan can take over.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mahan. Now we're discussing about the green policies. Firstly, so if anyone is using a bicycle for more than 2 kilometers per day, he or she can avail a discount at any nearby departmental store by showing the respective bicycle cards which are installed in the smart bicycles. Secondly, we see the solar roofs, solar panels, they sometimes produce excess solar electricity. These can be used to harness other commercial purposes where we can sell them. Moreover, these electricity purposes can be also provided to those people who cannot afford it. Thirdly, we have green banks. These green banks, they provide environmental initiators to those organizations which have to create infrastructure. Next, we'll be discussing about safety regulations. Firstly, to ensure road safety, we have square traffic lights. The square traffic lights have a wider field of view, thus increasing the visibility due to the larger illuminated area. Then we have LED traffic lights instead of the incandescent lights. The LED traffic lights, they are more energy efficient and have a longer life. Next, Nalin will be discussing about the Agni, which is a fire safety mechanism in our city.
So this is pretty simple. So we are reducing the human labor and the human risk to life here by using and automating the task of fire safety mechanisms. Now, all of these robots, which you will see in our presentation, because we have tried to make our city more futuristic, all of these are made in the gigafactories. So the Agni model is pretty simple. It is a system of drones placed under a mother drone, and to address Brand's concern, the drones won't actually fall on somebody's head since they are made out of metal and pretty securely attached, and they have a very strong motor to them, and that's why they won't fall. And we are predicting that the technology would be sufficient enough in the future to allow for such a system of automation. And this will have many benefits. The main benefit would be that there will be more amount of extinguishing material which can be put in these drones. And the other thing is that there will be more types of extinguishing material which can also be used.
Right. So next up, we'll talk about the organic waste, how we are dealing with the organic waste. So the main purpose is to produce biogas. The main motive to recycle organic waste is to produce biogas, and the secondary slurry goes on to produce vermicompost, which is quite beneficial in agriculture. And we use this through worms. And the initial processing of the waste, which produces biogas, is carried out in a big biogas plant, which is one of the main renewable energy production techniques in our city. And for inorganic waste, we've also separated inorganic waste into a number of categories. So the recyclable wastes are further used in various forms, and inorganic waste gases such as carbon dioxide are treated with the Sabatier process, which produces methane. And this methane is used to a limited extent as a form of fuel. And for non-renewable wastes, which are mainly non-renewable, but have certain amount of useful products in them, such as metals, we'll be extracting these, and they will be purified, processed, and sent to the appropriate place where they can be reused.
We also have a smart dustbin network in the city. So the picture does a pretty good job of explaining all of this. We have different dustbins for different types of waste. Of course, the citizens will be educated through the schooling, the extensive schooling system. And there is a system of pneumatic tubes under the dustbins and under the entire city, which allows for vacuum creation to basically carry the waste to the waste management areas like Divyansh talked about. And this can be integrated with IoT to alert the authorities with data as to consumer activities and the overall environment, as measuring the air quality and noise detection sensors, etc. Recycling power plants are also basically like Divyansh talked about. We have major focus on recycling in our Groon as well, and all of these 5 facets talk about how we are recycling. And this is basically by utilizing the current waste products which are created by the current waste management processes, which is usually fly ash, and we aim to maximize the usage of these fly ash and also create green belts, which are connected green areas. And we also have a smart street light system in our city, which basically uses solar panels to collect solar energy to operate. And the other major innovative facet is that it uses a light intensifying system to auto dim the light based on motion of the people underneath. So this will help us save a lot of energy. And plus to this, there are a lot of other facets which can be included, such as safety, science, cost, energy, and labor. And this can be done by using gunshot detectors, pollution level detectors, a smart grid, and this will obviously reduce the manpower by using IoT. The city app is Vatan, and like many other teams, they created their own city apps. We just outlined a few of the basic features of Vatan here, and one innovative feature is that we can pay fines and tickets and all the home bills. We can also book and monitor public transport from that. Public transport will be talked about later. And reporting crimes so as to increase the community policing effort, and also to find a parking space, which will be done by using sensors on the street. Skyscrapers will be talked about by Angad.
Yes, so basically skyscrapers can help us accommodate large population in limited areas of land. Naren, could you just go to the next slide? Yes, so what basically we have done is that we have installed windmills at the top of the skyscrapers, which can help to produce energy that can basically sustainably and cheaply run the buildings. Next slide. Yep, so basically on the right, you can see an example of what is already done in Shanghai Towers, which is in China.
Right. So one of the major energy production in Srishti is taken care of by solar energy, which is one of the most efficient and non-polluting renewable energy. So we'll have large energy fields, large solar energy fields, which have various applications such as rooftops or in the form of fields, extensive fields. Next up, please. Next, please. Yes. So one way we encourage solar energy is through subsidizations on these roofs, and such solar roofs would also be made mandatory, and they could also be stored, the excessive energy produced, for later use. Right, so one innovative thing that we've tried to incorporate is solar paint, which is just like any other paint, but the only and the major difference is that it can produce electricity. So you can basically apply it to surfaces such as roofs or buildings, And it is, since it is made up of nanoscale technology, semiconductors, it has the ability to produce energy. And this has widespread applications such as in vehicles, application on vehicles, or in solar fields itself. Next. And right, solar windows are just another form of how solar energy will be used.
So basically, in our city, we have located wind farms along the coast of the city where wind speed is very high. So this can make out a lot of energy. However, this will be issued as an alternate energy source and not a primary one. Further, I would be explaining about innovative ideas used to generate electricity in our cities. So in our city, we have used piezoelectric rod by putting piezoelectric plate as speed breaker, which generates electricity for the deformation of its shape. The system is expected to scale about 400 kilowatts from a 1 kilometer stretch of dual carriageway. Road power generator. It's a mechanical device which generates electricity due to mechanical movement of its plate. It's a two-way plate. When the car goes above it, it gets displayed, which causes to run a mechanical wheel, and it drives the big one to rotate, and electricity is occupied from the attached turbine with that big wheel. Advantages of these are they have low cost, they can transfer electricity to longer ranges, they have good efficiency, they have simple mechanism, and they are easy to implement.
That's
Application areas.
That's 20 minutes. Please wrap it up.
Application areas.
So I'll just simply scroll through this. So what we have for biogas is we have large biogas digesting plants which use anaerobic bacteria for basically decomposing the organic waste and producing biogas. So next, please. We'll just wrap up. These are some forms of the transportation system. So for electric cars, we'll simply have tax cutoffs and promote the usage of public transport. And similarly, these are some of the technologies that we've tried to incorporate within the public buses system. Next, please. For smart bicycle systems, we've also integrated it with the City Vatan app, and we've also promoted the use of electric bicycles. Next, and similar technologies that we've elaborated. And Hyperloop, this is one of a futuristic technology that we're looking forward to and have for transportation transit between two cities.
Yep. So basically, for underground tunnels, this can be used to connect distant districts of our city and can dramatically reduce commute time. Now, the next slide. Yep. So basically, Gigafactory, they cover large amounts of area and can be rented out by large corporations for manufacturing. And based on our calculations, 100 on these can basically help substantially reduce carbon emissions by factories. Next.
Right. So here are some of the technologies that we've tried to incorporate in agriculture. Next, please. So first up, we have hydroponics. So other groups have elaborated upon this, but what we've used is we've used fishes for producing excreta, which can be used as a nutrient source for the plants. So basically what we are trying to do is recycle the water through the system so that minimal water input is used. The excreta which the fish produce can be used as nutrients for the plants situated above at an angle. And here is the mechanism of how this will take place. And vertical farms are also a very efficient way to produce maximum yield in minimal space so that we can devote other spaces to green areas. And here is one interesting part where we've tried to use quantum computing in agriculture. So basically we can have the applications of this can be immense, such as a weed detecting algorithm so that farmers can detect weed at an early stage, weeds in the farms at an early stage, and then implement appropriate weedicides.
So basically, in our city, we have used water storage towers for water management. A water tower is an elevated structure supporting a water tank constructed at a height sufficient to pressurize a water distribution system for the distribution of potable water and to provide emergency storage for fire protection. It has a beneficial factor that parabolic towers have the least emptying time out of all of towers. Planning for water, why does it matter? Too much or too little water is bad for the society, economy, and the business. It can cause lost production and sales, disrupted transport, waste of resources, poor
Okay.
quality environment,
All right.
and
We're going to
social
have to cut you
problems.
off. Can't read your slides. You have to just rapidly go through to conclude. Do you want to just talk over the titles? Maybe?
Yeah. So basically, microbial fuel cell. So basically, we'll be using certain bacteria that can feed on human feces and convert human excreta into pure drinkable water, and also alternatively produce energy. This is an
So we're discussing about the seawater desalination plant. It's just a major source of pure water for the people. This battery storage has also been touted as one way to have an independent solar and photovoltaic desalination plant. Can you move to the housing, please? Yes. So these healthcare facilities, educational facilities we're providing, healthcare facilities from drone-delivered medical supplies to pop-up clinics for the indigent people, special health cards for the poor people, and local city health centers which act as medical malls so that people can get their dental exams, root canals, etc. Next, we're talking about the educational facilities. We have a host of educational techniques and adaptations. We have flipped classroom approach. We have digital content libraries. We have cloud computing. We have biometrics, which will prevent truancy and cheating. We have manners before knowledge. Manners before knowledge have been adopted from the Japanese style of schooling, where they teach ethics and moral values before actually starting with the complicated studies. Then we have no janitors or custodians. Similarly, the students have to clean their schools themselves rather than depending on others. Now the following are the housing layouts in our cities, from dorm near apartment, from small house, big house, mansions, etc. Now we have uses of passive solar energy. These passive solar energy things can be used for solar spaces, for solar greenhouses. Next. Finally, the last topic, the usage of Wi-Fi, light fidelity. Apart from the advantages that have already been enlisted, one thing that I wanted to mention was that they are far more secure than normal Wi-Fi, because the security waves produced by light fidelity, they cannot pass through or penetrate through the walls and doors unless a transparent material is used. On the contrary, if you use a Wi-Fi, it can be easily hacked. Thank you.
And to just address the previous concerns when we presented last, with Li-Fi, there is need of multiple lights which are easy to install and easy to have a synergy between. So it's actually the installation is pretty easy. So thank you for learning about our green city, and that was Srishti for you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Group 35. Anybody have questions? People have been talking about recycling water and how it has a bad name for drinking purposes. Go ahead.
Sir, I wanted to ask if the city has any kind of human intervention regarding or any facilities for fire trucks and stuff regarding the fire emergency, or are there only drones, or is there only the drone system?
Yeah, there are facilities for that. In the slide, it was specifically mentioned that the extinguishing material and other details regarding the operation will be decided by the appropriate authorities. The drones are just there to reduce the human risk to life.
So what we've tried to done is incorporate the best of human intervention as well as the best of technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you, Group 35. Any other notes? I see Advit wants to see the slide about housing space allocation. If you go to that quickly.
Yeah, 1 minute. The housing space allocation, right?
Yes. Was it Advit? You had a question?
Yes,
I don't actually remember seeing much about skyscrapers there. In the housing thing allocation space allocation.
Yeah. So specifically to address that concern in the housing, we have offered the residential area in the big apartments, and the skyscraper we have mentioned above somewhere. I don't remember the exact slide, but the skyscrapers mainly constitute the business center of the city, and they are here in the main city layout. In Yeah, they are present in the main city layout here.
Advit, what was your question?
So this is
No, it
the
got
business
answered.
center, 8 kilometer square.
Yep, the question got answered. The second question is for the bins, the thing you were using to suck up waste from the bins. Is that tech like advanced enough to carry that waste for long distances, over long distances?
Yeah, that's pretty developed, because if you learn from biology, in fact, our human intestines work in a similar fashion. The tubes will not be made of a hard material, but they would rather be soft from the outside. So this would allow for the sewage to not be stuck and thus be actually lubricated to transfer over a long distance.
I think I've also
Okay.
seen perfectly slippery materials. I forget what the term was, but some scientist has created recently a drag-free, frictionless pipe, I think it was called, so that the sewage would actually flow very efficiently with no friction, no drag.
Yes, so we can use that as well, but in regards to cost cutting and efficiency, we thought this would be best.
I think it's an interesting idea. Gambali asked about Li-Fi and how is used since it's not very energy efficient and non-controlled environment.
Okay. One thing that confused me was the quantum computing thing you put in the farming slides. I mean, is the technology not too far-fetched to see it being used in agriculture?
Right. So I'll answer that. So do you know what is machine learning, which is training machines to imitate what humans can do by their
I
intelligence?
do.
Right. So we've tried to incorporate such quantum computing technologies and machine learning, such as an algorithm in machine learning, where you can, identify weeds, separate them from the plants, because at the present moment, identifying weeds apart from the crops, because they're quite similar due to their color and camouflaging. So such algorithms help you to detect the weeds, which are quite closely related to the crops, as well as, classify them as to what type of weeds they are, so that the farmer may use an appropriate technology or weedicide to get rid of them.
I mean, why do you need a quantum computer?
Excuse me, I have a follow-up
Because
Exactly.
because often humans, it is far beyond the capacity of human farmers to identify minute details in identifying and classifying of weed. As a result,
That's actually not required. Such a great level of detail just to pull out weeds, and to use quantum computing, which is extremely resource intensive.
see, there was
and
no
very
Kind
costly.
of technology, a kind of technology that isn't even scientifically used in most fields in today's date. I mean,
Okay.
how can you possibly see it going to
I see.
agriculture?
we
All
have
right.
to.
Okay, I'll draw the conclusion here. I see your point.
Yeah.
Quantum computing is very expensive and difficult to even create at this point, let alone.
But sir, one point to note here:
Okay.
the extra amount of money that we are putting in through these technologies, we are saving on the money that is spent every year due to weed damage and minimum yield due to such
I
factors.
agree. So I think his assumption is that quantum computing will become quite pervasive and cheap, so therefore they could use it for everything, including agriculture. So it's sort
Yes,
of
exactly.
that's the dream.
I mean, we
Because-
have advanced
because
computers
nowhere-
that are not quantum computers.
I understand. Anyways, let's move on. I'm going to conclude the recording for this Zoom meeting, and let's move back to Adobe Connect. Thank you for all your input, guys. I appreciate the questioning at the end. And good job to Group 35. All right, let's wrap it up and move back. Okay, well, Group
Good
37.
evening, everyone. Is my mic working?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Good evening.
Okay, so Tarchal, if you can please share your screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. Are you able to view my screen now?
Yes, it's visible.
So you can see the PPT, right?
Yes.
So can we
Very good evening to all of you. Today, Group 37 is presenting their plan for their green city, Prakriti. It is a Sanskrit word meaning nature, which we all need to respect and take care of right now because of pressing issues like global warming and resource depletion. So, Satchal, Pranab, Bhanvi, and Navya are the 4 group members, and their roles are written as below. Next slide. So, Prakriti houses an ideal population density of 1,000 people per square kilometer. The other details are given as well. We have also made a website so you can access further information, and the website is mentioned here. And next slide, please. So we read about all the EAPs and the famous judging criteria like Greenleaf or the Green Capital Award. So we tried to base our judging criteria on those so that we are able to fulfill all aspects which were required to build a green city. So we have 17 of these, which we are going to talk about in brief. So the community layout is a simple one. It is not to scale. It shows on how one side the city is landed out and on the other we have the sea. So we have made sure that all the waste treatment plants and R&D facilities and the solar farms, etc., are away from the residential and urban complexes. And there are 4 central parks with the main 4 residential areas. And we have also made sure that the desalinization plants and the wind farms, etc., are away from the residential places. So we also have a river dissecting the city, and other than that, we have ample amount of sunlight. So this is the key of our community layout, and now Bhanvi will talk about the energy facilities.
So the first topic is energy production. Energy in Prakriti would be produced via 4 natural resources. That is the solar energy, wind energy, piezoelectric element, and hydral/tidal energy. So we will also have a backup of thermal energy, which will be 10% if the weather conditions don't favor the production of other sources of electricity in any rare case. Next slide. So the solar energy would be 30% of the total energy produced. For better implication, electronics will be installed in with the solar cell that will help the cell track as the sun moves through the daytime, so it can capture more photons just like a sunflower does. Next slide, please. Moving on to the piezoelectric energy, it will be 25% of the total. The crystal will be placed about 5 centimeters below the surface of asphalt, slightly deforms when vehicle across the road travels, thereby producing electrical current. If this is done along a 1 kilometer stretch, it would provide an average of 400 kilowatt of power. Moving on to wind energy, which will be the 15% of the total energy produced by the offshore wind turbines. Maintenance would be done by drones and AI, which will help to maintain and regulate the windmills. Also, drones would contain spectroscopes to detect cracks and any damage in windmills. Also, presence of wind-blowing poles along the windmills to blow away any animal or bird from getting injured by the windmill will be done. Next slide, please. Hydro or tidal energy. First, tidal energy. There will be modified bulb turbines with an additional set of guide vanes, allow better management and control of the flow through the turbine. Bulb turbines can reach very high amount of energy output. Moving on to the hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity power does not necessarily require a large dam. Instead, a small canal to channel the river water through the turbine would be used. Dams often destroy the biodiversity and may even harm lives and their livelihood.
So talking about biodiversity and how to maintain it, we would have forest area around the research and development sector, which is further explained later in the PPT. Here, many kind of animals would be living in the natural habitat. Secondly, lab-grown meat and seafood, which is a new technology, will be used. This will help in stopping domestic animal violence and also preserve the fish stock. Next, talking about green spaces, which is also mentioned further. They will be containing a stock of butterflies and bees to carry out pollination and give a balance to the ecosystem. Now, talking about green solutions, at Prakriti, we believe that to many environmental problems rising in the city, we would have green solutions which would also add up to the greenery of the city. So first of all, the fast wind, to prevent the flow of fast wind, which further leads to soil erosion, etc., we would be having shelter belts to prevent the flow of wind from the wind dominant side. Next, sewage ponds. The water in the sewage ponds contains some important nutrients which normally get thrown away. We would be planting eucalyptus trees which can grow in the contaminated soil near the sewage ponds, which absorb the essential nutrients from the sewage water. Next, to prevent noise pollution coming from factories and the roads we would be having rows of holly and juniper trees around these areas which absorb sound and reduce air pollution. Next, energy saving and prevention of global warming. To prevent global warming and reduce energy consumption, celery trees would be grown to cool down the temperature during the daytime. These reduce because of the cooling, it reduces 50% of the air conditioner usage around the residential complexes.
Waste management. Waste management will be done by the process of dissolved air flotation. Wastewater would be brought to a water treatment plant through the pipeline system. The water would undergo 3 consecutive stages in a process called dissolved air flotation. The stages are roughing, cleaning, and scavenging. The purer form will then be passed into 4 microwave radiation tankers to make it even more pure and fit for use again. This is a diagram of the dissolved air flotation process. Industrial and domestic waste management, which would be done by plasma gasification. The household waste and the industrial one would first neutralized and then be dumped collectively in the plant. No industrial or domestic waste would be disposed of in aquatic ecosystems. Then the waste would be heated through the plasma gasification using the plasma to obtain gases like hydrogen and carbon monoxide. Hydrogen would be used as a fuel, while carbon monoxide has its applications in industries. The recyclable products would not undergo this process. They would be collected separately, which would need cooperating of the people living. This is the picture of plasma gasification. Disaster management. Earthquake. Incorporating earthquake-resistant features in all buildings at high-risk areas and technical training in polytechnics and schools to include to be disaster-related topics, education, and awareness. Next slide. Floods. Defenses such as levees, baths, reservoirs, and weirs are used to prevent rivers from bursting their banks. When these defenses fail, emergency measures such as sandbags or portable inflatable tubes are used.
Okay, so coming to sustainable urban mobility, so of course bicycles would be present and there would be cycle centers present in every locality. So we would also use an app which can be used for any kind of transportation systems. These are 2 screenshots of an app on how you can track everything and find your buses, your underground train, or your bicycle. So back to the bicycle slide. So the busy biking roads in the city will be identified and they will be developed into solar bike paths, like in the case of Netherlands. These produce a small amount of electricity, so they can be simply used to power the street lights and traffic signals, etc. Next slide, please. So to cover the small distances within the city, we would have solar buses. Now, of course, since it's a weather-dependent resource, there would be an alternative of CNG available. Next slide, please. Underground trains, so they would mainly be covering the whole city and they would be running on maglev rail system as present in the country of Japan. So the private electric cars and the cabs can be charged this manner. We have provided a hyperlink which gives all the information. It's basically how a solar panel can wirelessly charge the electric vehicles. Then any trains or railways coming from outside the city, not belonging to our city, will be traveling very far away from the residential complexes. Next slide, please. So the health sector would encompass both of governmental and private enterprises. There would be a chemist cum clinic at every locality. So there would be drones for immediate response and delivery of medicines. We have designed this drone on a software using Blender. And there would be good partnerships between the government and private hospitals to support each other and treat patients during time of emergency. The hospital would have a large area, therefore they provide enormous potential for in-house solar energy utilization. However, as mentioned before, backup of electricity producing thermal energy would be present, and treatments for road accidents, transplants, and contagious diseases will be given good cost cutoffs. So in the busy areas of the city, the ambulances will be designated a special glass route. Now this would be a very strong glass, say borosilicate glass, and they would be there for smooth and uninterrupted movement. And inside they would move with the help of magnetic levitation with all the basic facilities which are available. So of course, AI and machine learned equipment will be able to precisely perform surgeries, and we are explicitly saying that human intervention would be there. Also, the robots present in the hospitals can be used for simple purposes such as carrying medicines to prevent any kind of human contact. Next slide, please. So education, all the schools would have an appropriate amount of green space around them. So we've given a real life example in the picture of this is a school in Germany which has a castle complex around it, thus providing a very good environment to learn. And then we can take out simple examples from different countries such as vocational courses and a happiness curriculum as it is present in India. We provided a hyperlink as well. So the school will also operate with different languages and dialects depending upon the ethnicity of the population in that region. Frequent meetings of the teacher community for course development and sport complexes, etc. Some other features.
Yeah, so sorry. The designs, residential and urbans. So in Prakriti, we would not build tall buildings and skyscrapers, as this concentrates population and cars, etc., at one place, which leads to a lot of population and environmental degradation in the small area. Instead, we would be building small 3 to 4 story buildings, which would be spread out over a comparatively large area, so as to spread out the environmental aspect as well. Secondly, in homes, we would be having special automated curtains which would maximize the entrance of natural light and minimize the entrance of heat into the houses by changing its position and rotating with respect to the movement of the sun. This would keep the environment cool and reduce the extensive use of air conditioners, which consume a lot of energy and cause global warming. So as you can see, the curtains rotate with the movement of the sun and allow the maximum entry of light and minimum entry of heat. Coming on next, we will be having permeable pavements through which water can penetrate easily to preserve the groundwater table. Next, rainwater harvesting would be practiced, and swimming pools all over the city, when not in use, would act as rainwater harvesting units.
Moving on to the topic garbage. For collection of garbage, there will be self-driven trucks which will collect the garbage from houses and take it to the waste management centers. Next slide, please. In case of collecting litter from around the city, we would have drones which would inspect the city twice a day to collect the litter. This is a diagram of the drone. It is a self-made design. Next slide, please. Moving on to industries, they would be present near the energy production farms for two reasons. First, being away from the residential areas, and second, reducing shipment and transit costs. Usage of high-level AI and robotic elements would also be there. And we have example of self-made manufacture of bot Hafler 222, which will manufacture anything at any spot, anywhere, is given below. First is a normal view, second is inside view, and third is AI in industries. Next slide. The state would undertake the production of equipment and safety gears for workers so that private enterprises don't exploit them with high prices and unsafe work conditions. Moreover, for biomass and inorganic material along with
Hello, is my audio clear?
Yes, it is clear.
Yes, okay. Food production, permaculture. Permaculture is a design system that will be used that applies principles that are found in nature to development of human settlements, allowing humanity to live in harmony with the natural world. The permaculture design techniques will include the following. It is listed in the PPT. Next slide, please. Cover crops. Cover crops will be planted. Many farmers choose to have crops planted in a field at all times and never leave barren. This can cause unintended consequences. By planting cover crops such as clover or oats, the farmers can achieve his goals of preventing soil erosion, suppressing the growth of weeds, and enhancing the quality of soil. The use of cover crops also reduces the need of chemicals such as fertilizers. Next slide. The farms will also be solar powered. Next slide.
Okay, so research and development is a major factor in our city because ultimately achieving the ideal sustainability level will take a lot of time. So the research and development sector will be completely isolated from our city. Also, in the vicinity of the sector, we would ensure that there is no kind of life present, and they would be located near wind or solar farm clusters to provide direct energy source. Next slide. So it is mainly divided into 3 areas: storage, the central laboratories, and the test areas. So the test areas will be there where all the necessary tests and experiments will be performed. So taking inspiration from Singapore, small incineration houses will be there, and then the waste would be dumped into artificial lakes and cemented pits. Even in Singapore, when the incineration take place, there is the amount of smoke release is tending to be zero, and the artificial lakes can hold the whole city's waste for at least 30 years more. And in our case, our population is much less. So at least the R&D waste can be held there for at least another 100 years at least. Next slide, please. So this is we basically designed this on Blender, and this represents how our R&D area will look like. Next slide, please. So the EAP Objective 9 also talked about how we need to have international relations and reforms. So we will start from the very basic level, such as formation of youth action hubs as advised by the UNCTAD, where the students take charge and help them achieve the SDGs. Also, there are all the decisions of the UN Biodiversity and Heritage Organization will be respected. And needless to say, our government will be a democracy, and of course having all the necessary features of a democracy. Next slide.
Community halls and centers will be present in each locality. Discussions can be held, prayer meetings, religious and cultural fairs, yoga rooms, etc. This will help the people live happily together and make the city better. Markets and malls will also be present there. Next slide, please. Good public water drinking and public sanitation, dustbins, public compost pits, machines like reverse vending machines can be put up all around the city to encourage good habits among citizens. Next slide. Parks. Normal and small side parks will be in proximity to all residents. There will be 4 central parks present in north, south, east, and west. Next slide, please. We would also have community parks, shopping complexes, cultural fairs, flea markets, eateries, etc., thus ensuring excellent hospitality. Next slide, please. Moving on to climate change. Climate change can affects coastal areas in 3 major ways. First is floods, second is storms, and next is the harm to marine life. Floods is already mentioned in the disaster management plan. Next slide, please. Storms. The houses will be made in such a way that they are with specific material to manage storms. First is hail resistance roofing. Second, impact resistance windows. Third, concrete framing. And fourth, fiber cement siding. Thank you. Next slide.
Then coming on to harm to marine life, climate change affects marine life mainly by the overheating of the marine environment. As a solution to this, there will be a pump house located at the banks of the sea, which would aerate the sea. This would help in faster evaporation and the escape of heat.
Okay, so this is the last topic for today. So water scarcity is of course a very big problem. So since we assume that we are living around a coastal area, of course a lot of saline water will be available. Now we would like to use this to the fullest extent. So pipeline will be initiated from several locations, which will ultimately bring the water to desalinization plants. And from here, the water will be transported to agricultural estates or say any green spaces to water the plants. The next slide, please. So we will use the technique of reverse osmosis to desalinize water. And when we researched, we found that it causes a problem. So according to CNBC, for every liter of water purified with reverse osmosis, there is 1.5 liter of brine, which is highly concentrated mixture of salt and water. And most of the countries dispose this off to the sea, so harming marine species, or the salt sinks to the floor, affecting other microorganisms. So instead of disposing of this brine, we will treat it, and then the high amount of salt we will obtain can be sent to our industries, as salt is used in a lot of
Need to
work.
wrap it up, guys. You're over 20 minutes.
Yes, sir. This is the last line. In a lot of production of many consumer products, and we can also sell it to our neighboring countries, so thus ensuring trade relations as set up in many EAPs. And this is another small example of how salt can also be used to produce electricity in our city. This is already being set up by Denmark and is being worked upon by the MIT Technology Review. So we hope that the prices will reduce and we are able to do so in the future as well. Thank you so much for the presentation. We are sorry for any technical issues, and we are welcome to any kind of suggestions as well. Thank you.
Yes. Does anybody have any questions to type into chat? And that last slide is a good example of where you're probably presenting too much detail. You should definitely show the idea of reverse osmosis and how you'll deal with the salt, but only a couple of sentences should be spoken, I think, about something like that, because the details can be put on a website.
Okay, so we'll take care of that. Also, we have a question, lab-grown meat. Would anyone like to answer that?
So basically, lab-grown meat. So see, instead of like killing hundreds of animals, domestic animals daily for meat, I think lab-grown meat is pretty good in that way. And considering of the price, we in Prakriti we would prefer spending more money rather than killing animals.
So like lab-grown meat is of course a current technology which is developing. So it is good for a current step as we take, and of course in the future the developments will take place, and it was in the trend. So we are hoping that the future technologies are able to reduce the effect on animals which happens due to the lab-grown meat.
Urja has a question about eucalyptus.
Okay, so may I call it manager? Okay, so since we are planting the eucalyptus trees in separate areas near the sewage system, where of course near the sewage you won't expect any kind of biodiversity to take place or any other kind of plants, so you won't expect any kind of competition. Also, Brand asked a question about entirely vegetable based imitation meat. Yes, so they do have that, but if you read surveys and interviews, you will find that people are not very inclined because they have a mindset that they want meat, especially the people who have meat as the staple diet. So we can try to sell vegetable based imitation meat, but ultimately it depends upon the culture of the people and how they perceive it.
Sure. I think Anit has a good point about slaughtering pregnant cows. Perhaps once they have the stem cells, perhaps they can just grow it independently in the laboratories. But I do think alternatives need to be explored because of the immense problems with greenhouse gases coming from farm animals, as well as just the land being taken over and not grown for crops. Okay, any last questions from spectators? If not, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, Group 37. I think your slideshow was very well produced.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. You can go through the PPT on your own. Thank you.
Very good.
You can go to the website.
Link also. So website link also was in the chat if you have.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. Well, let's stop the recording and head back to Adobe Connect.
Thank you, sir.